currently following is from a manuscript of the working title Metagame, a third book of compilations of essays, articles, and anecdotes, stories from most notably February this year, 2022, when I had experienced a lot of psychological changes and ideas about what has happened. This article is called the Semi-Colonoscopy. Something has become absentile in our biological lexicon. We do not talk, even discreetly to close ones, about pooping badly. We never talk of being constipated or having diarrhea, let alone make time to look after ourselves for it. This is a serious concern for me. What this indicates to me is a subtle and swift erasure of the stomach. This example of a lexical erasure, as I call it, is no exception. Eating itself does not share this mutual and shared embarrassment we now have about the gut, but it has become trivialized. I already ate is lended as a common response to queries about food, or I had Indian, or I'm having Mexican, if further elaboration is asked for. If common conversation of what the kinds of meals we have is merely geolocated, rather than I had a chicken tikka masala with pilau rice, or I'm having vegetarian fajitas tonight, our means of eating has been sterilely philosophized and politicized. Our diets have become much more to do with rational, humanitarian, ethical and environmental beliefs rather than what we fancy having for breakfast, lunch and dinner. If we no longer feel an organic hunger, we are at least mentally righteous, whether we are vegan, keto, highly endurable to spicy food, or pride our efficiency on drinking Huel. We do not hear our stomach noises. We are capable of eating well enough for the most part, but do not talk about hunger pains. This seems to me to be a silver lining. We have somehow identified there is a problem with our relationship to the gut, though we are trying to solve the problem by making it worse. My diagnosis might be a little more extreme than others. To me, our food cycle has permeated into a sort of obligatory and somewhat dull ritual that gets in the way of rationality. And a pure rationality most certainly does not fart or burp in foul and disgusting manner, least of all off schedule. But we are not things of rationality, though our vapid air expulsions certainly indicate that we are trying to be. If gastronomy is enjoyed, it is enjoyed intellectually. No more for us Brits do we get excited over pizza and chips on movie night. How may I summarize? I may summarize my view of our sociological problem in that we are trying to be something we aren't, and it is doing us. We're trying to be rational creatures, idea beings, and it is doing us in. We meet to debate, not to nourish ourselves in our friends' company. We are all analysts and theorists, not friends or family. We aspire fame or significance or online virality, yet many of us have directly admitted the digitech nature of our mobile devices disconnects us from our bodies. If our enjoyment of art and music has been delegated to a sort of conceptual snobbery, why not to the simple pleasures, such as our relationships with friends and family, let alone our food and drink? I had recently become very acutely aware in December 2021 of the fact that I had a highly reduced interest in what my food tasted like long before I contracted COVID-19 and lost my smell and taste abilities completely. In the weeks that followed with no sensory improvement, when I was told my senses may have changed permanently, I was bothered, but looking back, I was not nearly bothered enough. In a time where global obesity poses a larger mortal risk than starvation, and mental illness crises are too banal to even be distressed or dismayed by, I am unsure I cannot count more people I know to be on medication for depression, anxiety, BPD than are not. And an era where my generation have been swept into a sort of rampant diarrhea of the symbolic kind, overcome and engulfed into a rampant superficiality to the most narcissistic and even aesthetically geometric degree. I always find relief in the good sense of the good grace of Dostoevsky, and what I swiftly determine as his valiant prying of being and rationality. Men are not piano keys, he says, though I may say men are not Michelin star reviews, though a more apt phrase of mine reads, being is given, rationality is just what we make of it. Though I am clever, and have been the most guilty of snobbery, conception and philosophical efforts outside of own bodily needs, I am still only human. I still need to hug, I still need to eat, and I still need to be able to cry, sometimes on my own to sleep if I have to. If I feel a hunger pain, it is not a cause to accrue anxiety, all built up within that old neglected old gus of mine that can't lie and squeaks uniquely each time, but a reason to make myself a nice snack. If this sort of talk makes you cringe, good. It is a sign, or at least resonates. It might have touched upon a nerve. After all, the act of cringing is a shrink of the muscles. It is when you are cowering or embarrassed, and in an eye of cringe culture, a chronic repression or locking of the muscles that should be loose and relaxed is no surprise to me. If the shift of modern social discourse indicates one thing to me, it is the ironic tension to strive to find information that makes sense. An impromptu flatulence cannot be compromised into useful information. One cannot make sense out of stomach groans, squeals and growls. Neither can one make sense out of falling in love. If you do have an anxiety disorder, I cannot verbalize my remorse or claim to understand, but I will ask you to simply try this gut in, etc. I also recommend tallying up your stomach noises to sort of attune yourself maybe to your stomach noises, not trying to repress them, so hearing them and hearing yourself be naturally hungry. So to conclude, Jordan Peterson argues that a hearty breakfast could be an effective aid for someone with an anxiety disorder. I am highly skeptical. I would argue the opposite, that a sign of an anxiety disorder is not having an appetite for a nice breakfast, and that our anxiety disorders came into possibility the moment we skipped that hearty breakfast we were looking forward to because we had something more important to get on with.